But the government has made it more of a priority for PG&E to come out okay than the victims of PG&E. And why?
The CPUC, if they've been intent on regulating PG&E, then we wouldn't be where we are right now.
It was real clear we do whatever the governor tells us to do, period. I think it was really a control. It was just being in complete control.
California's burning crisis costs all of us. To solve it, we have to master the three core elements: fire, power, money.
Energy companies like us have a unique ability to brighten people's lives, literally and figuratively. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you for this shareholder meeting, my very first as CEO of PG&E Corporation. We will stand together for zero injuries, zero fatalities, zero ignitions of catastrophic wildfires. With the remainder of our time, we'll turn to general questions from shareholders. The first question is, when are you going to pay a dividend, and what about preferred dividends? Thank you for the question.
Institutional investors want to make money no matter what. Fire, global warming, get out of the way. Where's my money?
We're very aware of the importance of dividends to utility investors like yourself.
PG&E sells power, but its main product is the dividend. 40% of California's population lives in PG&E's monopoly. That's 1 out of every 20 Americans. PG&E is built to extract profit from their bills. In 2017, PG&E shipped a record $1 billion of shareholder dividends to Wall Street. But that same fall, power lines sparked big fires, killing dozens of people, burning thousands of homes. PG&E's dividend stopped.
We know that we need to do what we need to do to restore the dividend, and we're working hard to get there.
PG&E shareholders want to restore profits. As a father and a husband, Zach McLeod's life can't be restored.
So we have lots of memories and pictures, but it's not the same as having them here.
2 years after PG&E burned down Paradise, another fire, blamed on PG&E power lines, blackened this forest. By a bend in the dirt road leading to the McLeod's house sits a memorial to mother and child. Eight-year-old Fela wanted to grow up to be an animal doctor. Her mom, Elena, had just started planning her college fund.
They had so many hopes and dreams, and we had so many plans. And we don't get to do that now.
One cross rises toward the sky, another reflected on the ground. A molten relic of how they tried to escape. This pickup truck ran off the road into the burning forest with Elena and little Fela inside.
It's not fair. They should not have had to go through that. No one should have to go through that.
It wasn't just Zach McLeod's wife and daughter. The Zog fire killed 2 others in the small community of Igo, just uphill of Redding. A federal judge found PG&E sparked it by committing more safety violations. He found PG&E's contractors marked this unsafe tree leaning over its power line. PG&E should have cut it down, but 2 years went by. No one ever cut the tree. It fell in a windstorm, hit the power line, and sparked the Zog fire. We watched PG&E haul away what was left of that tree after the crime scene tape came down. On the scene, we saw investigators from the California Public Utilities Commission, the closest thing the state has to utility police. Their agency is responsible for PG&E's monopoly license.
The CPUC, if they've been intent on regulating PG&E, then we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Under the PUC's nose, these PG&E disasters destroyed tens of thousands of homes, 143 people died, PG&E committed 91 felonies. The PUC gave PG&E a state safety certificate. It waived a $200 million fine for safety violations, and then renewed PG&E's safety certificate the next fire season. The PUC's investigators don't make those decisions. The 5 commissioners appointed by the governor do. Heading into the 2021 fire season, they almost reconsidered PG&E's safety certificate at the request of a customer advocate group.
They simply don't deserve this safety certification. They are not a safe company.
But just before the meeting, the commission changed its mind.
The resolution related to a request for review of PG&E's safety certificate has been withdrawn and will not be considered on today's agenda.
Choosing not to act, safety advocates say, was the most important action commissioners took.
In fact, approving PG&E safety certificate, but doing it in a gutless fashion where they won't go on the record.
The vote was unnecessary, the PUC wrote, and Governor Newsom's safety certificate law doesn't require the commission to act. What the PUC left out is that the PUC itself helped to write that law. We obtained confidential emails showing the PUC assigned to write sections of what would become AB 1054, the law that protects PG&E's finances with safety certificates. The emails came from the New York law firm hired by Governor Gavin Newsom to represent him in PG&E's bankruptcy. Before AB 1054 was introduced at the state capitol, they crafted it behind closed doors for 2 months. Lawmakers only gave themselves 2 weeks to pass it.
I trusted our governor. I trusted my commissioners, and that was a mistake.
Alice Stebbins was the PUC's executive director when Governor Newsom took office. When we on the outside see the PUC do something, you see a decision that was made by the governor,
Yes,
even though it's supposed to be an independent agency.
yes. When the PUC was created, it was put in San Francisco, so it would be away from Sacramento.
Article 12 of the state constitution makes it clear the PUC is supposed to be independent of the governor. It takes a 2/3 vote of both houses of the legislature to remove a PUC commissioner. They can't be fired by the governor. Even so, Stebbins says Governor Newsom controlled the PUC.
You don't do anything without his staff reviewing it or talking to you or approving it. And that's the way it was. They tell you what to do and how to do it.
Governor Newsom's office was micromanaging the PUC?
Yes. Yes. Anything that we sent out, anything that we produced publicly, had to go through the governor's office.
These emails between PUC staffers show they needed to get 2 layers of approval from the governor's staff just to send a letter to companies the PUC regulates.
It slowed things down. I think it was really a control. It was just being in complete control.
The PUC even submitted its own press releases to the governor's people for approval. On the email chains is Newsom's appointee and CPUC president, Maribel Batcher. Like the governor, Batcher declined repeated requests to be interviewed for this series.
She came in with casino background, communications, but nothing in the energy sector. So my question was right off the bat, why is she being put in this job? And then it became clear to me that she was put in that job because she would do exactly what the governor said. It was real clear when she came in, we do whatever the governor tells us to do, period.
We wanted to see everything the PUC and the governor's office said to each other. This is a time when both approved PG&E's bankruptcy, the PUC waived PG&E's $200 million fine, and the PUC refused to cooperate in the criminal investigation of the Camp Fire, according to the prosecutors. Under state transparency laws, we requested the messages between the PUC's president and key staffers in the governor's office. the PUC rejected our request and then refused to act on our appeal for more than half a year. We sued, but a California appeals court said the PUC can take all the time it wants. Our case is headed to the California Supreme Court. When PG&E sparked the campfire, the company was already a criminal offender. PG&E's probation is supervised by federal judge William Alsup.
Judge Alsup came in and was trying to do what the PUC wasn't doing.
After the wildfires, Alsup started cracking down. He's called PG&E a recalcitrant criminal that deserves to be in prison. PG&E was robbing money from safety to enhance the bottom line, and the regulators let him get away with it. Since the campfire, he says PG&E's safety work is still crappy. C-R-A-P-P-Y.
Judge Alsop, my gosh. I mean, if there's anyone, I hope I never get in trouble. Go in front of Alsop.
As Newsom talked up the judge's toughness, the PUC scrambled. In internal emails, the agency's top lawyer was startled to see Judge Alsup ask highly detailed questions about C-hooks like the one that broke and sparked the campfire. The agency was afraid of the judge butting in on its jurisdiction, but according to Stebbins, the PUC was also just afraid.
You know, is he going to catch us not doing something? Uh-oh, he's going to get us too.
You can see this mindset in other emails between PUC officials preparing talking points for the judge. What if he focuses on how the PUC's regulation's not adequate? Tell him we are acting right now. If the judge asks about our investigation of PG&E's fires, tell him we're like police detectives. We have to keep certain information confidential. And if all else fails, some lines to deflect. It's very fact-specific, depends on the circumstances. We're coordinating closely with other agencies. The agency that wrote this is scheduled to take over the job of monitoring PG&E when Judge Alsup's probation supervision ends. That's scheduled to happen in January 2022. This is the response to 85 felonies, including the killing of your grandmother.
Yeah, just the depth of it is, it's shocking. They commit criminal acts, but they're not held criminally responsible. Even when they are held criminally responsible, nobody actually takes that responsibility. So what's to stop them?
The fact is, under Governor Newsom, California's state government built a plan to protect PG&E's bottom line against its own tendency to cause fires. And since PG&E's past wildfire victims were paid half in stock, they have to rely on it working.
We need PG&E to do better and continue being PG&E and continue killing people so we can get paid from when you killed our family. It doesn't seem right.
PUC President Maribel Batcher declined to be interviewed for this series and did not respond to a list of 16 questions sent by email. Governor Newsom also wouldn't grant an interview or answer written questions. But in a statement, his office wrote, "No governor in California history has done more to hold PG&E accountable and force the company to make fundamental change." He also pointed to a law he signed, which sets out a process in case the state decides to take over PG&E. That process is nowhere close to being triggered. So far, it's only required PG&E to send the state more paperwork.
We know our past does not define our future.
PG&E's newest CEO, Patty Poppe, offered to speak with Firepower Money under the condition we keep our conversation off the record. We declined. Like several CEOs before her, she's promising to do better and talking as much as possible about how climate change makes the threat of wildfires worse. Climate change does make fires worse, but it isn't responsible for PG&E's criminal behavior. As Judge Alsup put it, climate change doesn't start the wildfire. PG&E starts the wildfire.
Climate change, what it should do is tell people it's more likely to happen, so we need to be more vigilant. We need to be more on top of safety. That's the kind of response you need to that, not, oh, well, it's not our fault.
When you got a person who's an addict, they got to admit first that they have a problem, right? And so PG&E needs to first admit that it has a problem. Instead, their instinct is to say, no, we got it.
They need an intervention.
They need an intervention.
Have they gotten an intervention?
No. No.
And the thing is that PG&E's attitude makes us all suffer, whether we're aware of it or not.
Mariel points out it's not just PG&E's killing of her mom and all the others. It's blackouts on windy days. It's higher power bills, even in Southern California. It's toxic compounds in our air that did harm scientists may never fully understand. And a toxic culture she sees in Sacramento, doing the very same thing PG&E did, putting profits over safety.
And if you don't think it's affecting you, it's only because it hasn't slapped you right in the face, the way it does when it's somebody that you love who's been lost.
What would you say that, John Q. Public watching this, what do they need to do to help?
I think the biggest thing is hold our governments responsible and not accept these easy answers, not accept this idea of letting people get away with no taking responsibility.
Because if the politicians aren't going to listen to me or the other survivors, who are they going to listen to? Who's going to stop it?
It's about making sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else, No one should have to go through this.
Hi. Hi. Papa, Papa,